My name is Kainton the Genius, and today I'm going to be taking you on a full Python tutorial. So I'm excited to take this because I've actually looked at different programming languages, and I see that Python is the best programming language for a beginner to start, and also for an expert. And also, if you have some knowledge of programming before, Python is actually the best place for you to start learning. This is actually going to be between 3 and 4 hours class, and is something that I would like to say is really very easy, is the best you can get. I'm going to take you to the screen. I'm going to show you the analysis of programming languages that has been made and show you the difficulty level or the learning curve and also the demands, and then what is called the demand to learning curve ratio. Sorry, the learning curve to demand ratio. So this tells you how useful a programming language is compared to how easy the programming language is to learn. So let's see in the screen right now. So this was carried out early 2019 by international computer programmers, and a number of languages were actually analyzed, and I've actually indicated 9, which I think are the key programming language currently. So let's take, for instance, we have C++ that has a learning curve of 74.8%. and has a demand of 71.5, meaning that it has an LCD ratio of 0.96. So that means that if you are a C++ programmer, you actually be on high demand. However, if you are not a C++ programmer and you want to learn C++, it is going to be difficult. C++ is not an easy programming language like Python, right? So while it has a high demand, the learning curve is very high, and that is why the number of C++ out there, programmers out there, they are not very much. Now if we look at Python, it has a learning curve of 39.5. In the chart is actually having the lowest learning point so far. Interestingly, the demand is 89.7, approximately 90. This is unbelievable. So it means that Python has extremely low learning curve and very high demand. But that may actually change because many programmers, many beginners, enthusiasts are learning Python every day. So for now, this is where it stands as of 2019. It might change, it might remain the same, I don't know for now. Let's also look at Java. Java also have fairly low learning curve of 60 and also have a demand of 87.7. So that makes it the next best programming language to learn, having an LCD ratio of 0.68. So also the next to Java is next to Python is Java. So if you want to look at an alternative programming language to learn as a beginner, you think of learning Java. Let's look at the next one on the line, and that is PHP. PHP has a learning curve of 55.8 and also a high demand. The challenge with PHP is that if you learn PHP, while there will be high demands, you will also need to have knowledge of HTML. So that is the little thing about PHP you need to know. Then we have C#. If you start with C#, I think that is the next in the line. It's very good. It has a low learning curve and also fairly average demand. But the challenge with C# is that it's restricted to Microsoft technology. So if you are working with C#, you're actually going to be building .NET application. So basically, I recommend starting to learn Python programming language. And that is why I've taken a few months to make a full Python tutorial. I actually have made a tutorial before now, but it's in a playlist. I actually make different topics and put them in a playlist. So if you are somebody that wants to learn one chunk at a time, you can actually go for that. But this full tutorial we are about to start right now, I think is something that is kind of very easy. So if you're a beginner, you can actually start from the beginning to learn this programming language Python. If you're an intermediate, you know a bit about Python, you can actually skip the first part. Maybe you've installed Python, you know about the syntax, you know about the data type, the variables. Then you can actually skip the initial part and go to maybe the middle parts, and from there towards the end of it, how to read and write files, threading, object-oriented programming in Python, and things like that. But if you're an expert, then you might think of skipping or also go towards the end of the video, the later part of the video, to learn more advanced topics in Python. But I recommend, since this is a course that flows from beginning to end, I recommend taking it bit by bit, starting from the first part, taking it all the way to the end. Now I've made a list of a few things, hence I want to give you about how to learn programming. First, there's something called procedure-based learning. So what it means is that procedure-based learning gives you the procedure and also the tutorial, both in text and in practice. So I've created a site I call named after my channel, Kindson the Genius or Kindson the Tech Pro. So you can see all this list of items here containing all the topics we are going to cover. So what it means is that as we follow this tutorial along, if you miss out something, you have the procedure there. In the procedure that has been outlined under each of the video, you have a page leading to the procedure. So what I recommend doing, if you have two monitors, you can actually keep the procedure open, keep the video open in another place, and then you can actually follow along. That will make it easy for you to be able to follow through in learning. Also, try to make sure you learn every day or maybe every 2 days. In that way, what you learned the previous day is going to be fresh in your mind. And finally, remember you need to subscribe. In that way, you get updated when some updates are made. So what I recommend doing is first subscribe to my channel, because this is what I do. This is the best tutorial you can get in Python. Subscribe to my channel. And then when new lessons come out, let's say after 3 months and you want to learn Java, you might get updated when I make new Java lessons. And also, you have this website that contains all the procedures. Another thing I would like to also mention is, if this is not for you, you may know somebody this is for, and you can share it with a person. So feel free to share it on your social network profile so that we can actually build up a community of programmers. And secondly, I mentioned that if you have another programming language you want to learn, let's say you don't want to learn Python, you want to learn Java, or you want to learn Ruby, let me know, write it down in the comment box. That means that before I make the next lesson I'm going to make, I'm going to check the requests for programming languages, and I'm going to make the next lesson based on that. So if I have, let's say, 20 persons requesting for Java and 10 persons requesting for PHP, I'm going to actually make Java. So if you have already learned Python, you want to learn something else, let me know by writing it in the comment box. And also feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to like the video, and let's get started. So remember, subscribe, and then let's get started right now. So the first thing we are going to do is to set up Python and install it. Alright, now this is the second part, and this will be installation of Python. Now, to install Python, there is something you can do. I'm going to maximize this page, and we can actually just go to jetbrains.com/pycharm/pycharmedu.download. Now, the IDE that we are going to use is called PyCharm. An IDE is a program that helps you write. It's an application that helps you write programs. So in this case, PyCharm is an IDE that will help us write programs. What it does is, when you're writing programs, it can give you syntax coloration or programming syntax understanding, and also it can give you IntelliSense that makes sure if you are typing, it can give you autocomplete to try to understand what you are typing and complete it. So PyCharm so far I think is the best. So feel free to download and install PyCharm. So if you go to jetbrains.edu.com, in the description box you'll also see the link to this page. You can just get to this place and click on the download button. So once you click on the download button, you can see it starts downloading. As I've downloaded it before now, I'm actually going to cancel this download. I actually also like to recommend you install Anaconda. Now, what is Anaconda? Anaconda is also an IDE that helps you work with Python programming. The difference between PyCharm and Anaconda is that Anaconda have additional tools that helps you write data analysis related programs in Python. But the ease of using PyCharm is different than in Anaconda. So in PyCharm, it's very easy to create a file, write it, and then run it. But in Anaconda, it's a bit different. Anaconda contains what is called Jupyter Notebook that you can use. So this Jupyter Notebook has you need to start the server, and then it gives you option to write your programs on something called Notebook. So we are going to get back to that in subsequent lessons. So I'm going to go to Anaconda website. So Anaconda, let me see if anaconda.com/download. So at this point, simply download it, and now don't choose 2.7, choose 3.7. So 3.7 is the latest version, and this tutorial is based on 3.7. So you have graphical installer, and also you have command line installer. Download the command line. The graphical installer is better, it's easier. You can actually run the setup and follow the instructions to install it. I'm not actually going to go through step by step on this installation. So you simply run the setup. After you download it, double click on it and run it. For instance, if I go to my downloads, I could actually show you the downloaded file. So for instance, let me see if I can figure out where Anaconda is. So okay, so I can't figure out where exactly I have it installed. I have it downloaded. Maybe I might have deleted it. But if you have downloaded it, simply install it. So if you have challenges installing it, let me know. Alright, so this is where we end for now, and the next part we are going to now start with actually writing Python programs. So today we are going to be talking about basic syntax of Python programming language. So I'm actually going to show you how to write your first program in Python. So what you are going to do, first open PyCharm. If you've installed it, just go to program files and open PyCharm. So I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to also take this out. So again, you see that I have this procedure open. So it's a procedure based learning. So you have the procedure here, and also you have the application running at the other side. So we are writing the programs and we are checking how it actually works. All right. So takes a couple of seconds to open, but before I continue, let me just go back to the introduction. So this introduction, you can actually read the history of Python programming language from here. So it's actually a programming language created by Guido van Rossum, who is a Dutch scientist, and released in 1991. So features of programming language is object-oriented, meaning that it has features of C++, is interpreted, it means it has features of PHP, is interactive. It also can be run on the command line. It's general purpose. It can be used for games, for websites, for web applications, and a number of things. And we have a number of benefits. So feel free to read up this part. So at this point, we are going to be looking at basic syntax of Python programming language. So now I'm going to take out all of this. So I'm going to close this file, and I'm going to open Anaconda, open PyCharm, so that you actually see how it starts off. So if you start PyCharm for the first time, this is what you are going to see. So at this point, what you are going to do is simply click on Create New Project, right? So if you start PyCharm for the first time, click on Create New Project. I'm going to call it Python. Alright, Python tutorials, and I'm going to just click on Create. So when you create a new project, it takes a while, and then it start a new project for you. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. So it creates the programming environment that the program is going to run on. Alright, so at this point, it's created a project called Python Tutorials, as you can see at this point. So if you open it, you can see that there's nothing there. So right click on this folder here and just say new and choose new Python file. So let's call it basic syntax. So it's better we name the files with the names of the module we are currently working on. So at this point, you can see the prompt where you actually could start typing your program. So I can actually start writing my first program. The first thing I can tell you about the Python programming syntax is a comment. So one thing you want to do when you start writing a program is to indicate that this program is your program. So to put your name, to stamp your name on this program, because at some point you may write large programs that you may need to sell or that other persons may have access to. So you need to put your name there in the first line. So to do that, you use a comment, and to use a comment, you use the hash key. Everything following the hash key is a comment. So this program is written by Python. So just put your name there and it will not be a problem for the program. So again, at the end of the program, you can actually write another comment, end of program. So another thing you want to know is Python actually uses something called an indentation-based coding. So what it means is block of codes are indented. So for instance, let's write, if I write name is equal to Python. So Python the Tech Pro. So now I can write another block of code by indenting, but it becomes clearer when we continue in subsequent lessons. So I'm going to use a print statement to print name. Alright, so now Python programs doesn't close in semicolon. So never use semicolon, don't use semicolon, don't use curly braces. These are not used in Python. So I'm going to run. To run Python program in Python, just right click and click on run. You can see run and it displays the output just below. So you can see Python the Tech Pro is printed. Alright. So I've explained comments in Python, so you can take some time to read them up at this point. Now we have what is called identifiers. When I use name is equal to Python the Tech Pro, now this name can actually be anything. So identifiers are names you choose to use in Python to assign values to this name. So I can use first name. So I'm free to choose any name I want to use to assign values to. But now there are something called the reserved words. So the reserved words in Python cannot be used to assign as identifier. For instance, we have lists of Python reserved words, so take your time to get to know them so that you will not use them as an identifier. So I'm going to copy these codes. I'm going to now paste it so that you can understand what we mean by indentation-based coding. So if I paste this, it says, I'm going to delete this because you already know. So it says A equal to 10, B is equal to 20. Now we have A equal to 10. It means that identifier A contains a value of 10. Or you can read it that A gets a value of 10. So when I say A equals to 10, it is wrong. A is not equal to 10, but the variable A, the identifier A, gets a value of 10. Or A is assigned a value of 10. And B is assigned a value of 20. Now the question says if A equals to B, now we have an indentation here, meaning that this block of code you see executes only if A is equal to B. Again, after this we have the else statement, means that if we go back to the end of the line, it means that we exit from this block, from the block of code. So this is actually a block of code is being indented. So if I say BLC is equal to 5 or 4, so it means that all this line of code that is indented is in one block of code, right? So that is what indentation based. Take note of this. Indentation based coding is the key of knowing Python programming language. So if you have knowledge of other programming language, take note that Python uses indentation to mark block of codes instead of using curly braces. All right, Python does not use a semicolon. Now, if let's say we change things and take out the indentation at this point. Meanwhile, you see that before you start an indentation, you have a column. So you have a column here. Let me make this a little larger. So I'm going to change this to presentation mode. So just give me a second. Okay, so this is what I want to achieve. So that is a little larger so you can see everything correctly. So if I take out the indentation, it's going to give me an error. So it gives me an error message because it needs to be indented each time it needs a column. We also have multi-line statements. I'm going to copy this and paste. So if you have a statement that is spanning multiple lines, the number of lines, for instance, we have this. So last name, I spelled it wrongly here. So if you want a statement to span multiple lines, you simply use the plus sign and also use the backslash. So if you use plus sign and backslash, it means that if you press enter and then you can continue writing the next line, and it understands that you are starting a line that continues from the previous line. How do we get user input? So you want a user to enter his name. So let's say you want to get a user's name. So you say user, you say enter your name. So if I run this code, it simply is going to display please enter your name. Now, how do you get the user's input? You use input function. So I'm going to copy it instead of typing it out. So when you say name is equal to input, please enter your name. So this function takes the prompt, what is going to display to the user. And now whatever the user enters on the keyboard is assigned to this variable. So at the end of the day, if I print out name, it's going to actually print whatever the user enters. So to make it a bit interesting, I can say you enter your name is, and so at this point we are getting the user input and we are printing it out back to the output. So if I run this code now, so at this point it says please enter your name. I'm going to enter my name, Kindson. And you can say it says your name is Kindson. So this is how to get user input. So this completes the first part of this lesson, and now we have understanding of the basic Python syntax. I would like you to play around in this code, take some time to go through it, and it becomes clearer to you as you go. Also make out a few times to read the explanation of everything, because in the video I'm not going to be reading the explanation part. That is left for you to actually read and figure out. Today we are going to be talking about data types in Python. So what are data types? I've actually taken some coins so that I'll be able to illustrate what data types is. So these are a few coins. So we have this. This is 50 euro. This is 20 euro. This is 10 euro. It's Hungarian forint. This is 2 euro and this is 1 euro. So these are types. Let's call it types of coins. Let's put it that way. So for each coin, it can have a particular value. Like this has a value of 50. and it has a value of 50, it also means that it can buy a range of items. Let's say you can buy a piece of candy, a piece of cake, maybe a cupcake and things like that. I don't know. Again, they have this 20 euro, may buy a pen or a pencil, and there are things it cannot buy. In the same way, in programming, we have data types. Data types represents variables or things that can hold values or range of values that can be held in the memory of the computer. So what it means is that in programming, you need to use data types. There are different data types. For instance, you have integers, that is numbers without decimal places. You have floating points. Then we have strings, we have characters, Boolean, and so on. In Python, we have something called implicit declaration. What it means is to create a variable of a particular type, you don't have to do it explicitly. You simply use it. So in this case, the government have created these coins, place the value 50 on it, and it means you can use it to buy anything that is worth 50 euro. But in case of Python, you don't have to do all that. You simply assign the value to the data type, and that's all. So it's more like a coin that does not have any value, and then you simply use the value by yourself. So more like if you take a coin like this, go to the shop and say, okay, give me a bottle of wine, and they give you a bottle of wine. You give them these coins. Okay, this bottle of wine is 500. So let's say this bottle of wine is 4 euro. Maybe they will now say, okay, it means that this coin is 4 euro. The next day you take another coin, go to buy a bicycle, you give them these coins, and then they say, okay, this bicycle is 2,000, let's say, or whatever, let's say 500 euro. Okay, it means that the coin is 500 euro. So that what it means in Python is you don't have to declare the variables, simply assign values to the variables, and that's all. So that is called implicit declaration. So you can simply say a is equal to 10, and that's all. So what the system is going to do, the system is going to now create a variable called a in the memory, assign it a type, a data type of integer, and then it will hold the value of a. And that is very beautiful. It saves you a whole lot of work, unlike in other programming languages where you have to declare the variable, you have to initialize it, and you have to assign the value to it. So this is what has been explained in this place, so you can take some time to read it. Now I'm going to copy this code and paste so that we can now discuss it briefly. Alright, so what is happening here is that when we say index is equal to 10, it means that index is an integer data type. Distance is equal to 500.05. It means that distance is a floating point data type. When we say first name is kindson, it means that first name is a string data type. So simply assign the value to it, and the programming language will assume that this is the data type for this variable. And when you print out everything, I'm going to run this program, and you can see that it prints out very well. Again, I'm going to tell you about something called multiple assignments. So multiple assignments means you are making several assignments in the same line. So let's take for instance we have x equal to y equal to z, so equals 200. So this is called multiple assignment. It simply takes the value 200, assigns it to x, assigns it to y, and assigns it to z. And that works perfectly. It saves you a whole lot of time. So this is equivalent to x is 200, y is 200, and z is 200, like so. So this is equivalent to this one single line, okay? Now there's another way you do multiple assignment, and that is by assigning different variables to different values in the same line. So it's called can't remember exact wording for it, but here we have name is assigned kindson, score is assigned 100, and 36 is assigned to 8. So it seems like consecutive assignment or something like that. So respectively for each of them, the corresponding value in the position is assigned to it, right? So that is what is happening here. In Python, there are a number of data types you need to know. We have numbers, we have string, we have lists, we have tuples, we have dictionaries. So Python does not make any distinction between integer, floating point, double, long, and so on. A number is a number. Whether it has decimal point or it doesn't have decimal point, a number is a number. That is how Python works, and that is what makes Python a simple programming language to follow. So numbers, as you know, we have, I'm going to copy and paste, although we've used numbers before now, but we have 89.4, we have 200, these are examples of numbers. Python provides a function to delete a reference from a number variable. So for instance, we have score is 89, and we have total is equal to 200. Now, if I say print score, we have the value score is going to be printed to the output, and this time is 89.4. But if I say deal score, it's going to take out score from the memory, and when we print, we don't have anything printed because at this point, score has been taken out of the memory when we use del. Del removes the score of the variable from the memory. All right. So we also have examples of strings. Strings are simply a series of letters or words enclosed in double quotes or single quote. Let's look at examples. For instance, when we say first name is Kindson, this is a string data. It doesn't make any difference when you use single quotes and when you use double quotes. Python assumes all of them to be the same, right? Good. So double quote and single quotes all are the same in Python. So let me copy and paste this code so that we'll be able to discuss it. All right, so we have word is equal to programming. It means that there is a word is a string data type and it holds the value Python programming. You can close this so that it gives this error. All right. So again, we have word 0 means that the first letter or the first character in word, right? So word 0 will refer to P. This is word 0, word 1. Y is word 1. T is word 2. H is word 3, and so on. So it starts at index 0. Now, when you use two indices, for instance, in this case, we have 3 and 6. It means that we are taking the words, set of words from position 3 to position 6. In this case, in position 3, we have H. In position 6, we have N. So it's going to take H, O, N. So when you have word 3 and we have the colon but without anything, if you don't specify anything, it's going to take it all the way to the end of the word. Let's print it out and then we discuss it from there. So in this case, word, the first one, print word Python programming. Word 0 is P. Word 3 to 6 is H, O, N, because H is in position 3, 0 is in position 4, and N is in position 6. Word 3, without specifying the last index, it takes it from that position all the way to the end. When you say word plus tutorial, so we have, okay, that is what we have here. Word Python programming is word attached tutorial to it. You can also multiply strings by a number. So if you say word times 3, it means word, word, word. It prints it 3 times. So when we say words times 3, it prints Python programming, Python programming, Python programming times 3. So it's interesting because now you can apply multiplication sign to strings or to characters. This is the beauty of Python. It makes it easy, something you don't get in other programming languages. Alright, so we have a few more things to look at, and now we will continue on the next part as we are going to be looking at list items. So still on Python data types, now we are going to be looking at lists. We've considered strings and now we are going to be looking at lists. List is set of words or set of characters or set of values or variables enclosed in square brackets. So in this case, when we say, I'm going to delete a few things from here. So now we are considering lists. So when we say scores is equal to 23, what we did now is that we have created a list of 3 items, right? Good. But the interesting thing about this is that it can hold different data types. So when we say, for instance, 2356, and we can now say Clinton. So this is also a valid list, and we go ahead to print it. It's going to print out everything in the list, like so. Alright, so this is the explanation, and now we have a few more things. For instance, lists are part of Python collection data type. So list is called a collection data type. A list in Python contains different values separated by comma and enclosed in square brackets. Take note, it's enclosed in square brackets because when we are going to be talking about tuples, sets, and dictionaries, you'll know that if it's not enclosed in square brackets, it's not going to be a list, it's going to be something else. So just like strings, individual elements in a list can be accessed using the slice operator, starting from the first element of the list in index 0 to the last element on the list on index 1. And we have concatenation operator, the plus sign, and also the repetition operator, the star. You use the star, which is repetition operator, to kind of multiply a list into several places. Let's play around with this and see how it works. So I'm going to copy this. For you, you can also type it out yourself, and then we are going to then discuss it. All right, let me make some space here, so that's good. All right, so list 1 is equal to all of this, and list 2 is equal to all of this as well. This one is this 0.85, 5200, 780.2. When we say print list 1, it prints the whole list in list 1. When we say print list 1, 0, it prints the first item in the list, and it prints WXYZ. I'm going to run it so we continue the discussion from there. So in this case, we are printing list 1, 0. So the 0 element at index 0 is printed. We print list 1 from 1 to 4, so we are printing from 1 to 4. Item at index 1 is 0.85. 1, 2, 3, 4. So from 0.85 to 780.2. So it prints this. So this is 1 to 4. Alright, so when we say okay, so we have print, okay, 1 to 4, yeah. So when we say print lists 2 to the end, because nothing is specified, so it prints list 2 to the end, 52 all the way to the end. Alright, then when we say print list 2 times 2, so it prints list 2 times 2. 999 and Clinton is list 2, so it simply prints it into 2 places. So you can see it prints this once, twice. It multiplies the item by 2. So in the last one, we have list 1 plus list 2. So it combines the 2 lists. So it actually takes this, add it to the end of the list, and prints it. And that is what we have here. There is another data type that is very important in Python, and that is called tuples. Tuples are exactly like lists. The difference is that you enclose tuples in brackets. So brackets like this, not square brackets this time, but brackets, as you can see. That is the only change you need to make to a list for it to become a tuple. And that's it. So what we are working with now is a tuple. It behaves exactly the same way as a list, but it's a tuple. Take note, you are going to find this in a quiz. Tuple is enclosed in brackets. It is not square brackets, but bracket. I think it's called rounded braces. So we have square brackets, rounded brackets. Okay. So we have dictionary is enclosed in curly braces. So take note of these things. Tuples enclosed in rounded braces. Then we have list enclosed in square braces, and we have dictionary is enclosed in curly braces. So this is a dictionary. But the difference between other ones and dictionary, let's give an example of a dictionary, is that dictionary has 2 items per element. So we say it has a key value pair for each of the items. So for the first item we have 1 on Monday. For the second item we have 2 Tuesday, 3 Wednesday. So it has pairs, 1 value, 1 key, 1 value. So the key in this case is numbers from 1 to 7, and the values is the weekdays, right? Good. So that is how dictionaries work in Python. And now, how do you access values in a dictionary? A bit different than how we access values in lists and tuples. So in this case, when we say weekdays 1, in this case it's going to print out Monday. So in this case, weekdays 1 is going to print Monday. When we say print weekdays, is going to print out everything completely separated by comma. When we say print weekdays of keys, is going to print out all the numbers. So when we say print weekdays of values, is going to print out all the values. So in this case, we have 1 to 7 as the keys, and Monday to Sunday are the values there. There are a few things you can play around with in lists. For instance, you can convert a data type from one data type to another. For instance, when you say float x, convert x to a floating point number. When we say string x, convert x, object x to string representation. In fact, I would like to demonstrate this one so that you will know that you might need to use it sometime. So when we say a is equal to 10, now a is an integer, and when we say print a plus 3, let's see what happens. It prints a plus 3, 13, which does not actually make sense because a cannot, a is 10 and 10 plus 3 should be 13. But when we say int a, in this case we are converting a to integer, and now if we say plus 3, it's going to print out 13. So that is about int and also string. So try to play around with this. So in this case we have other ones. For instance, tuple x converts a list to a tuple, and so on and so forth. So we are going to stop here, and in the next lesson we are going to continue with lists in Python.